So before we kick off, I just wanted to announce one of the greatest ever mailbag entries. I know we could have saved this for a mailbag special. Maddie, you're back in, by the way. It can't wait. This can't wait for a mailbag special. This is the best mailbag we've ever received.
Yeah.
I'm going to play this. This is from the great Scotty Shaw.
My hairy mailbag is no longer hairy. The hair fell off out of shock.
Yeah, it's shaven hairy.
Just a mailbag, yeah.
It's a shaven hairy mailbag. It's a smooth. It's like lanolin. It's a lanolin mailbag.
Yeah, it's one of those waterproof ones that's all shiny now.
Yeah, Scotty's written, "Hey boys, thought you might get a kick out of this. It's a little too long to be useful, so you guys might have to work your magic shears. I'm not that proficient, but the whole thing is wonderful to listen. Anyway, I thought you'd get a kick out of this. You can edit it for pieces and new drops. I think you know the ones to use. Thanks for all you do, Scott." Now, Scotty
does know.
Scotty do. I'm pretty excited about this one, to be honest. To share this with the peeps at home. And here it is.
Get Into the Gate podcast. Hey.
Corin Nemec, ladies and gentlemen.
Exciting, Scott. This is exciting stuff. Look, I still got hair. I got hair. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. Oh, boy. Memorizing all your mission reports has taught me, Rhys, that your father made you right. He did. He made you right. Memorizing all your mission reports has taught me, Rhys, that your father made you right. What does it say here? Speaking angrily with emphasis on the O and E vowels in an elongated version of the name Cooper. Ah, I understand. Get into the gate, you crazy kids. It's just, funny as it sounds, I pulled some crazy muscle here in my chest, and it's hard to breathe. So, it's hard to do the Cooper. That was very painful. What do we do about this? Get Into Gate. Get Into Gate, Stargate podcast. Get into it now before it's too late. Before I can't breathe anymore. Before I need your help. I love you all. Get into the gate. Get into gate, Stargate. Send me smack all over boob.
Wow. That is amazing. That's incredible. Corky. Wow. All I can say is I'm so glad I made Jonas in the Wind. That's all I can say. His fandom never died.
You know, if anything's going to get Rhys back to the podcast, it's going to be the fact that we now have Jonas saying your father made you right.
Yeah. Don't waste it, Rhys. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Come back. We want you back. Shit. Whatever Daniel said, whatever he did, he didn't mean it. We just want you back for good.
Want you back.
Get Into Gate. This is episode 160. We are talking Stargate SG-1, Season 8, Episode 5. The Get Into Gate team here. My name is Mitch. Joining me, as always, Matty.
Yo.
And Brendan.
Hello.
Welcome, boys. Look, it's been a couple of weeks since our last episode for those that are listening to us live. And we did tease at the end of 38 minutes from Stargate Atlantis that we weren't all that excited about talking about Icon. I had less of an idea about what that was compared to you two because you're a little bit more well-versed in SG-1 lore than I. But yeah, putting it on, I'm like, oh, this is what they mean. And then
now you know.
Like,
yeah.
And then the episode ends, you're like, oh, so like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I can't wait to talk about this.
I know we're all in isolation in different rooms, but can you all smell that? That's the smell of this episode. That's yeah.
No, that's not what I was smelling. For me, I watched this episode on a website called Daily Motion, which is a complete piracy website.
And great people if they want to sponsor
Great people, Daily Motion if they want to
get involved.
jump on board. Get into Gate at gmail.com. And the best thing about that website is you can put it on whatever speed you want. So I put this on 1.5 speed. And much like the Australian PM Scott Morrison, it's much better on 1.5 speed because you can actually tolerate it.
Actually, that reminds me. Do you know a great way to get through an episode of television you hate? This is back. Remember, Craig, my friend Craig, who's been on the podcast.
Do I? Yeah. He tried to shoot me.
You're lucky it was just shoot, mate. He lent me and this is my that's one, I guess, the Star Trek: The Next Generation DVD box sets that he has. Try and get me into it, which never worked because the first season is absolutely horrible, and no one will ever tell me otherwise. That's one. But what I did when I was getting really, really bored is I was playing with the languages. So like changing it to Spanish or whatever. And there's one point where like Jordan. Is that
where Around the World came from?
No. I wish. But there's one point, and I just clicked it over just in time to have Geordie LaForge go, "Hola," and that.
Wow.
I'm wondering if maybe Icon would benefit from a language change.
Well, one can only hope.
I'm not going to go back and do the legwork.
If you put in Klingon, it'd be better.
Oh, that could be.
I'd watch it more. I'd be more likely to watch it.
Well, you do Klingon. We were talking before we started recording about Lord of the Rings. I'll watch it in Elvish, and in Hugo Weaving's Elvish too. Yeah, it'd be bloody beautiful.
I was thinking, what's her name? The dark-haired chick,
Liv Tyler.
Oh yeah, Liv Tyler. She gives good Elvish.
I'll bet she does. That's what I've heard.
That's what Aragon said. Well, I was like I've said, I've been rewatching The Matrix and waiting for Matrix 4, and the thing that Hugo Weaving, I think in Reloaded, when there's the bunch of them, when the Neo fight happens with the pole, it's really dated CGI. It was amazing in 2003, but today it kind of sucks. But there's the part where he goes, forces that make them, forces that build them, forces that bind them, and I was like, oh. Lord of the Rings too is like so great. And then the dog really finds them.
A great 4-year period for Hugo Weaving. Yeah. He owned the box office. Like no one would give him that credit. But from Matrix 1 in 99 to Lord of the Rings 3 in 2000. Well, he had 3 massive blockbusters in 2003, and he wouldn't get the credit for it. Like I met him about 10 years ago. He was off making a film in the middle of the outback where he was sleeping in a tent because they had about a $17 budget. I'm like, dude, you have your name.
The 44 or something like that.
Maybe. I can't even remember the name of it. But you think, add on the fact that he's Red Skull. He's in 3, just off the top of my head, of the biggest franchises of all time.
Not to mention Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Oh,
great Aussie
film.
Does look good in lipstick. No one would have thought that.
I was watching an episode of an old Power Rangers.
Not to be mistaken as Bad Boy Bobby. Let's put that out there. It does look like
Did anyone ever? I was watching an old episode of Power Rangers, not the Power Rangers we grew up on, but the ones that sort of came out sort of by the time we were in high school.
The gross ones.
The bad ones, like 2002, 2003, just to see what kind of a mess they are. And there's one from 2002, and in the middle of a Megazord battle, they've stolen that 180-degree Matrix bullet motion shot. So there's a Megazord in midair, and it just kind of freezes, and then the camera goes that in really, really bad cinematography.
That's hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah, I gave up when they started driving cars. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm out. Sorry,
if it's not in the shape of a dinosaur, you can get
absolutely. There's not a Power Ranger getting around with a Mazda crest on his shirt, doesn't hold the same weight as a Mastodon.
I'll
be honest.
I was going to say Porsche or something, but that's better.
Maserati.
There's a Japanese one. There's one of the original Japanese Sentais that's never going to make an American version is trains. Their Zords are trains.
And
they literally have
really mobile.
Train tracks. They have train tracks across their costumes. It's called Tochuja. I'll send you a picture. It's amazing.
Conveniently, they're 100.
I want to see the pitch meeting for that.
Yes.
Right.
They got train tracks on their face. It's awesome. All right.
Some shockers.
Lock it in. Whatever you say, Brian, you've nailed it 3 times in a row before.
What could go wrong?
There was one a couple of years ago, and it's the horoscope. So there's 12 Power Rangers, and they're like Virgo, Pisces, Taurus,
Stop it.
And the Virgo is the Pink Ranger, and she's got big pink Cupid
I bet
wings
it
on
is.
the back of her costume.
Virgo, yeah, right.
Sure you are.
Skank. You're right. Tommy's been here, right? Yeah, you're not.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered about 7 different franchises as we look to avoid talking about
God.
Icon.
Did we read
me,
the synopsis?
Oh, I've got it in front of me here.
Oh,
The
there we go.
box set. It's waiting. So at the top of the second disc.
This is going to be riveting. Drum roll.
All right, let's do it.
Here we go.
SG-1's sudden appearance sparks a civil war on the planet Tagalis, whose inhabitants were unaware of the Stargate's true nature. Intent on easing the situation, Jackson stays behind as the team returns to Earth, but finds himself pitted against a tyrannical religious leader with no tolerance for those who don't share his beliefs. Sounds a lot like Daniel, if I'm fair. I like that since he's intent on easing the situation, Jackson's like, I got this. I'll stay here. I'll fix everything. Good job, Daniel.
You know that scene in Precious? You know the movie Precious with Mariah Carey?
Sadly, yes, I do.
But that one, yeah.
Never seen it.
You know that scene where she's getting by her dad and she just leaves her body until
oh, hang on.
Maybe
I need to see this.
That's how I get through this episode. I just leave my body until it's over.
You think about f***ing your dad. That's so
he is
weird.
a very tender lover. I'll have you.
Tender. That's what your sisters say. But that's... Did I just make it worse? What? This, for me, it's just so bad. It even did one of the worst writing tropes in history where they start off the episode and you're like, oh, what's going on here? And then it's like, 3 months earlier. And you're like, oh, dude, really? Like, for me, if you start off a story in the middle because it doesn't get the audience's attention because the beginning is too boring, then you need to rewrite the beginning, man.
Right. This is season 8. Like I'd let that kind of writing trick go in season 1 when you're still trying to build an audience. This is in season 8 of SG-1. They have a hardcore fan base. We don't need some little trick to hook us in. Like we're watching the episode.
Yeah, we'd be happy with that kind of boring 10-minute opening, really. And then for me, the highlight was Carter coming in as the leader of SG-1 kind of for the first time.
That was nice. I did like that.
And to me, it was a bit underwhelming because this whole
Although she did lie. She did flat out lie her first time out. Once they come through the gate and she's talking to the leader guy, she's like, oh, you're surprised. We've never come through into as a museum piece before. And it's like, yeah, remember back in season 3 with that planet where they all got younger and there was Linnea the Destroyer and she got younger and they all didn't have any memory? They entered through a museum. That's where the Stargate was.
I thought that was just a warehouse.
In a museum.
Am I thinking about the one where they started up the Jeep?
No, the Jeep was 1969.
No, there was another one. Wasn't there another one? Yeah, they try to find where they managed to find the DHD and they pull open that drape because everything's covered and dusty and I thought it was just a warehouse.
Oh, I thought it was like a museum warehouse because they go up. They're looking at like historical stuff because they've all forgotten their memory. I'll have to go back.
I thought it was just like it's storage. They're just chucking all this stuff in there, and like the gate.
What about that one? What was the one? It was even earlier than season 3 with the kids the kids were the intelligent people in the society before they were like lobotomized and stuff.
Nakwa degenerators.
I feel like did that episode open and like Daniel was going around like doing archaeology shit on the walls?
That was a temple.
It was a temple, was it? Okay,
temple,
right, okay.
Or a pyramid even.
Yeah. But no, I always got the vibe with that Linnea the Destroyer, like when she was the young chick, I always got the vibe that they were like in a museum because they were like searching because they didn't have any history. They were trying to find out their own history because they'd all lost their memory. But maybe warehouse, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was just a warehouse because from memory, I was complaining, when we did the podcast, I was complaining that they brought the MALP in and the DHD was actually covered by a tarp. And Daniel was like, here's the DHD. And I was like, dude, you're meant to suss that out before you go to a planet.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool in this episode because I was like, they better not just walk through because I remember that clear shot of Carter being there and SG-1 just walking through. But I was like, oh, good, the MALP comes through. And then there was just a quick fade to...
Yeah, there's that little time cut where they...
Politicians standing in the line, which was...
Yeah, we skip over all the back and forward.
Yeah, skipping this episode was good. This is the episode you always skip. Like we've said that a lot.
Yeah.
But this is the one.
Yeah.
If you're going to skip them.
Do you know what Peter DeLuise calls this episode? He calls it the English patient for Daniel Jackson. It's Daniel Jackson's The English Patient. And I'm like, well, I haven't seen The English Patient. So
who wrote and directed this? Did you say, Mitch?
This was Peter F. West, West, how you pronounce his last name was the director. The writer was Damien Kindler.
Kindler, go home.
Kindler, yeah.
He's done this too many times to us.
Yeah. It's on IMDb. It's the second lowest rated episode of the season.
Yeah, I've wondered about it. It was like 7.3 or something, wasn't it? 7.2.
7.2. The only one lower than this is Sacrifices. And given that Rhys isn't here, I can safely say My Big Fat Jafar Wedding is
right.
the episode lower than that.
I mean, that sounds fun.
And don't forget, there's listeners
the original title.
that haven't watched SG-1 yet. So just
I haven't given anything away.
But I'm just saying.
That was the original episode title. That was the original episode title for Sacrifices, which scored the lowest this season on IMDb.
And then what did they call it? The Great Ring of Shut the hell up. I don't care.
Ass, whatever it is.
Abaddon or something.
Yeah.
You know who annoyed me the most in this episode, apart from that redhead chick and Daniel? That Luke Perry looking motherfucker.
Her brother/husband.
Yeah.
I honestly...
Stupid.
They're supposed to be husband and wife. If you told me that she was his like little sister or daughter, I would have believed you. Like,
yeah, totally.
I think it's two years after this, she goes on to play a college senior in Gilmore Girls for like 2 seasons.
What?
And she's playing
one of the great shows.
Sheila. She plays Sheila.
That relationship reminds me of that. You know how there's always those weird couples that you're surprised that they're married? Like for me, it was, what's her name?
Yul Badana, obviously.
Yeah, obviously that. That was just a win for me. But the one that, the dude now I've forgotten the name. Maria Baccarin, is that it?
Marina Baccarin.
And then the dude
Adria.
And then the dude from Gotham.
Oh, Ben McKenzie. Yeah.
That's a weird.
Oh, they married, are they?
They're married. That's weird.
He was hot back in the day, though. Remember, he was the main character from the OC.
The OC, yeah. I remember.
He was OC
obviously,
hot.
she was into the OC.
Yeah, she was double clicking her mouth to him back in the 90s.
Yeah,
and you would remember her as being the hot girl from any show she's ever been on.
Yes.
Hey, mate, she was the prostitute in Firefly.
Yes,
Homeland,
the prostitute
SG-1.
with a venereal disease, a deadly venereal disease that never came to fruition.
International Women's Day from Deadpool, obviously. Lots of fun stuff going on.
Shut the front door. That's the winner.
She's great.
And open the back door.
Well, obviously. I was going to say that's what you have to do for that scene, obviously. So the other dude, the Luke Perry motherfucker, as you called him, Jared Kane, he's actually already been in Stargate. He was back in that shitty episode, the first episode that Martin's in, Martin Lloyd, you know, when he finds out that he's an alien.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew I'd seen him.
He's one of, no joke, Jared Kane, the guy who plays Jared Kane, interrogates Daniel and Sam. He's the one that interrogates them in that in that warehouse.
He's one of the Agent Smith looking dudes.
Yeah, that ends up being one of Martin's people.
Yeah, see, that makes sense because I don't know whether it was just because it bored me from the start or because you guys had told me that it would bore me the whole way through, but I felt like I was only half watching this when, doing household duties and stuff. And then he pops up on screen and I'm like, oh, he's obviously going to be the bad guy, like in the flashback scenes before we know what's going on, because he's got that bad guy look. He very easily could be a bad guy, but there you go, because he did have that evil tinge to him in the first Martin episode. And then I think if you didn't have the bald religious freak in this episode, he would be default bad guy because he's got that look about him. But, he just had to be
I always, even when I rewatched this, I thought he was the bad dude, but he turned out to be okay.
Yeah.
It's still shit.
I didn't understand the weird, non-love triangle. Like, she had a crush on Daniel because she obviously has eyes. But then it's like he didn't...
Yeah, and they were alone for God knows how long.
Yeah, and he didn't return any of the feelings to her. Even Jared Kane wasn't even threatened by it. And it went nowhere. At no point did Daniel profess his love and say, I love you, but I can't be with you already. He was just like, bye.
Yeah, but he did kind of the kind of weird cheek grab and she turned away.
Oh,
when she's
yeah.
doing
noticed that?
hanging the
That was-
sheets on the line.
Yeah, that was weird. I'm like, dude,
Okay.
what? You know she's married, like,
Yeah, like he was
Just-
at
And like,
their
Hasn't
house.
had any
like
alien
a child
child
bride.
for ages. Yeah. That was
I think he
weird.
got more interested when he found out she was married.
Hang on, what? You're married? Oh shit!
Oh.
Yeah.
You're from a
Well, I
different
mean,
planet and you're married. That ticks off 2
Yeah.
of my boxes.
It has been a while
Yeah.
since Daniel's got any alien love, so
Yeah.
you know, maybe he's
Yeah,
just
that's
feeling that urge. The one
The
little bit of
funniest part for
continuity.
me was she said she pours the redheaded girl pours the water on Daniel's face with the washer, and he wakes up and she's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to wake you." And I'm like, "No, put water on his fucking head."
I have no memory of that
What is
scene
wrong with
whatsoever. That's how much I was paying
Seriously.
attention. I have no memory of that.
Oh. That happened
one-
to me. That happened to me when I was having my appendectomy. I had a 3-hour surgery. I don't know. I was asleep. I don't know how long it took. But then my wife came in and started taking pictures of me, and it was the old school camera, like, and I'm like, what the? And I never slept for the rest of the hospital stay. It annoyed me.
Oh God.
That's what that reminded me of, that scene. Don't pour water. Don't stop taking pictures of me then. If you want me to rest. God's sake. She
We're
can
not
hear
allowed
me.
to do that. Yeah.
The same for me when I was asleep and the dog came in and started licking my balls, and I was like, "Why did you wake me? Just keep going,
Yeah.
but don't wake me."
I didn't put this peanut butter on it for you to get it off, right? I just put it on there because it's soothing. You know?
Yeah, I'm napping naked for a reason.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's even weirder now that you got a roommate.
That's
Just
week
sleeping-
2. That's
Yeah.
week 2.
Get to know me, buddy. I sleep like this. I think this episode 2 got me because it opened up with him obviously coming to, waking up from however long he'd been asleep, Daniel. And I thought...
Almost as long as I was during this episode.
Yeah, for sure.
And I thought it was going to be like one of those... Because I think the first 2 scenes, there isn't a lot of dialogue to suggest like she's telling him much, like catching him up on things. It would almost felt like he'd woken up and she's like, "Oh, hello, Andrew," and convincing him that he's somebody else. And then all of a sudden, then there's backstory, and I thought, okay, that's like when you said it's a shitty little trope, but I thought that stuff I can deal with if there's like a fair twist. Like if you're going back to these flashbacks, like, okay, cool, I know where this is going to get to. If they were to get to the point at the end of the flashbacks before where you started, there was some kind of twist that changed everything you'd already seen. But there wasn't that. It was like it was very generic, nothing to suggest that he was either being looked after by her or that he was kept captive by her. Then you had all the flashback stuff, and then once you'd seen enough flashback stuff, all of a sudden cut back to the present and she's catching him up on all these details. And I'm like, oh God, we're really taking a long time to get this started, which is strange that it took 10, 12 minutes of screen time in a 44-minute episode to get started, because then it just feels like at the end, it just ends and there's no real... I mean, there's a resolution, but it wasn't like it paid off in this amazing way that you're like, oh, well, I feel
Nothing
like...
All it was they just managed to get Daniel home. And they're like, it's not the whole episode, they're like, it's not about just getting Daniel home, it's about other shit. And then turns out it was just about getting Daniel home. They're like,
Yeah,
"Ready to go
'cause
home?"
it's
He's
like-
yep. And then credits.
We've seen the
that was
warring
dumb.
factions before. Like we've
So
seen them
dumb.
with Jonas's planet. We've seen the different
Yeah.
factions. Back in season 3 or season 4 with they're gonna kill anyone who comes through.
Yeah,
like
New
that
Ground.
that was 2 warring factions, and I feel like
New
that was a
Ground.
little more. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a little
shit.
more poignant in pointing out how silly we are as human beings in the real world for having fighting over our differences. But
Don't forget Renee Bojanoa,
a
the other
version
side.
in the other side, yeah. And they were all a bit more interesting. This didn't give me anything to make me think about how silly we are as human beings. Like there was nothing between those two factions that I was like, oh yeah, they're both making the mistake of being ignorant or anything like that.
Yeah. For me, this was New Ground mixed with 100 Days, but worse.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. The one bit of redeeming factor that I like for this episode is what it contributes to the greater whole, in that I'm more and more, you know how a lot of people have sent us the Reddit list of like how you should chronologically watch the shows now that there's 2 running at the same time, and there's that weird
You
thing
mean the
where,
list that we're not following?
yeah, the one that we're not following.
Yeah.
To me, this reinforces the fact that we've done the right thing, because in this episode, obviously, it's the 3 months later. And in next week's, the episode we're going to do next week's Suspicion in Atlantis, Weir says it's been 3 months since they arrived in Atlantis. So for me, that helps sync things up. That
okay.
You could say like the first 4 episodes of SG-1, like New Order, Lockdown, 0 Hour, all took place over a week or 2. And then it's been 3 months. So it's been like 3 months and 2 weeks. And in Atlantis, it's been about 3 months. So they're kind of, you know, catching up to each other in that regard.
What have they been doing since Shepard got eaten by a radisbug? Just chilling.
Yeah, we'll get to it next week. I've already.
Well, you've watched ahead, but we.
Yeah, I've watched next week's episode. And yeah, they've sort of. There's a few little things we can talk about then about what they've been doing in the 3 months while they've been on Atlantis.
Obviously, sterilizing the Athosians. We
I
want
think
those
so.
people to die out as quick as possible.
Not a lot.
Oh, hey, kids, look, there's plenty of other closets you can just go and get lost in. We just won't find you.
Yeah, and just needling them.
You know what's a sick rush? Wait for the kawoosh and jump into it. It's sick.
Well,
We've seen it before. It is really good. Your shoes just stay there. That's all that's left.
as a little tempter for next week, they actually say in the episode, it's been 3 months and they've only done 9 off-world missions. So in 3 months, there's only been 9 off-world missions in Atlantis. So it's like
We're so shit.
There's been a lot of sitting around, scratching themselves and washing the Athosians. And
we have to do some mission reports. What for? We're in another galaxy. Just chill.
And I want them printed. We don't have any paper. Well, let's make paper.
We don't have a printer.
Let's make a slurry out of all those dead ancient trees that I told you to get rid of last week.
Yeah, McKay had to build a printer.
Yeah, printing press. Yeah, and then she also wants a weekly newsletter, the Atlantis Weekly, where they can put out all the information. So he's got that as well.
We should start the Atlantis Weekly.
I prefer the Pegasus Post, but that's just me.
Brilliant, brilliant.
That. Yeah, better. Mine was good. His was better.
I think one of my redeeming qualities about this, and he's very, one-dimensional, and even his aesthetic look is very cliche. But I still got a bit of fun out of the bad guy. What was his name?
The bald guy.
The bald guy, religious freak guy, whatever his name was. I thought he was a bit of fun.
He had a name?
He was like a human. Yeah, exactly. He was like a human version of a Gould in the sense that the Gould are so like full of themselves and we are almighty, we are all powerful, whereas this guy comes on going, our gods are almighty, our gods are all powerful, and we are so loyal. And, again, SG-1 and the SGC and whoever, and namely like O'Neill, when they have that meeting, is like, hey, look, we've met some of these guys, not all they're cracked up to be. Actually, they're all kind of dicks. And he's like, well, that's just because you aren't loyal. We'll be the most loyal and then they'll reward us. He's like, yeah, they'll probably kill you and enslave you. Nah, that's just because no one's been as loyal as we're going to be yet. But he's just saying it, again, in a stern, cliche bad guy way. And I'm like, I kind of feel like I need this at the moment. Like, the rest of the episode wasn't giving me enough, so I'll settle for, like, a baseline villain at this point. Cartoon level, one-dimensional looking bad guy,
If he suddenly had a flanged voice and said he was Heroer's brother, I would have believed it.
That could have been fun.
Could have been. Totally could have been. Something I couldn't forgive, though, was there was a line towards the end when Daniel finally makes radio contact to the SGC and he's throwing in those code words of, like, telling us what to do. I forget who it is, but someone says, if Teal'c translated it correctly.
That was Carter. That was Carter.
Oh, was it Carter?
I've got the timestamp. Hang on. I'll just bring this up because that annoyed the shit out of me.
Just that I hope someone's been feeding my lost sock while I've been away.
I'll give him a lower suck.
We've pieced together all the gold words Daniel gave us. If Teal'c's translations are correct, he's suggesting a strategy to retake the bunker.
He is proposing a coordinated attack against Soren.
We come through the gate at the same time as Daniel and Kane's men enter from the surface. I'm thinking we take SGs 3, 6, and 12 as backup. We go in hot, secure the gate, then extract Daniel.
He has supplied an estimate of the strength of Soren's forces, as well as a possible date and time for the assault.
Our next communication is in 5
The
minutes.
O'Neill line's important.
All we need to do is confirm everything and, of course, get a go from you, sir.
All right. Well, not to nitpick or anything here, T, but are you sure you got it right?
I am certain, O'Neill.
Okay.
Dude, seriously. Like,
Really? Are we really asking Teal'c if he translated
I've
gold?
been speaking gold 100 years before you were born, bitch. Like, what the
Remember in Absolute Power when Daniel's having his dream, like when he's got when Shifu gives him the knowledge, and he specifically brings in Teal'c to go, what does this word mean? And Teal'c says the word,
Yeah.
and he goes, thank you, you can go now.
Shoot. Yeah.
Like, fucking hell. Come on, Damien.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Now go away. Yeah. Daniel.
Maybe with Daniel's absence, they needed a recognizable team member there to cast doubt on his friends, because obviously Daniel always knows better. So you need Carter to go, oh, I'm not comfortable with this, but Daniel's not here to be negative. Teal'c, are you sure that you know how to speak your own language?
But then Jack does the double up at the end. It's like, really? If I was Teal'c, I would have fucking threw a tantrum and stormed out of that room. I would have been like, you all.
I threw a tantrum. That was bullshit.
You know what he could have done? He could have got up, said something in gold language, and then what's that mean? He goes, translate it, and then come talk to me. You know, like just throw down some shade.
What do you think it is?
Yeah,
that would have been perfect.
The most redeeming factor for me was just RDA. He was seriously the only good bit about this, and I'll tell you why in a second.
Yeah, but he questioned Teal'c, so
that annoyed me. That annoyed me. But this is the other reason.
To make them see it's not the end of the world. If we leave now, who knows what could happen? We have to help them. You know that.
Regular contact, no exceptions. The second things start getting a little squirrely.
Thank you.
Daniel. Squirrely.
Squirrely.
That was my favorite bit.
That's an RDA ad lib right there. There was no way they wrote squirrely in the script.
Squirrely.
Screwy maybe,
No
but not squirrely.
No way.
Imagine if Hammond had spoken like that. That would have been great.
Hammond was just like, Dr. Jackson, I already believe you. Let's just go right ahead.
You've been convincing me for 12 minutes, but I believed you after the first minute.
I told you after the first 30 seconds, you're right. And then the director said, action at 2 minutes. See, maybe
I just wanted to see how long you could talk. I just realized that my Hammond is actually the same voice I use for Dr. Phil.
I was gonna say,
Addicted to pornography.
my Hammond was Will Ferrell doing George W. Bush. And believe it or not, Walter was in this episode. Did anyone know that?
Oh, was he? I probably slept through that too.
If we're talking about extra sassiness, then Walter brought that this episode.
Well, I'm glad somebody brought something to this episode.
This is Stargate Command calling Dr. Jackson. Do you read me?
Can you boost the signal?
We're at maximum gain, Colonel.
You can clearly see it, Sam. What is wrong with you? That's hilarious. That made me laugh so hard. Oh, damn.
I just love
Walter.
Can we boost the signal? No, I thought I'd leave a little bit on the table. I didn't think I'd try as hard as possible.
Throwing a little quote from 200 is can we reverse the polarity?
Can you boost the signal?
We're at maximum gain, Colonel.
Bloody Carter. 2 shit lines in this. Who wrote this?
Correct. Damien Kindler.
Damo, you flog.
He's written some
out
stuff,
of here.
though. Like, hasn't he written some good stuff in the past?
I don't know. You tell me, mate. You're telling the story. So far, so bad.
He's written some good stuff somewhere. I'm going to flick through. You guys chat amongst yourselves while I flick through my book.
Trying to find something good.
Yeah, right.
He wrote Evolution. Oh, this isn't going to help my cause. He wrote Space Race.
There you go.
Oh, see
Case
ya.
closed.
Three
You got no
strikes
fans
out,
in this
mate.
room, mate.
Yeah, this is not ending well.
So far, 2 strikes. You've written the
he
2
wrote-
worst episodes of SG-1.
He
Fucking hell.
wrote Memento.
Which one was that?
That one from season 6 where with the war balloon people.
Yeah.
He wrote Forsaken with the Cerberus.
That was alright. I liked that.
Yeah. He wrote Cure. I love that episode.
Mm.
Oh, and
alright.
he wrote The Other Guys. There you go. He wrote The Other Guys. So he has got some good gear in him.
Did he though?
This episode just not up to par.
He might have got the credit.
I wonder if this is...
Cooper, quick! I'm gonna get fired. Throw me something. Yeah, have this shit script that I wrote.
Yeah, he pitched maybe like 2 seasons ago, and they're like, yeah, nah.
Yeah.
And they're like, shit. We're all the good writers are over on Atlantis trying to figure out that show at the moment. We just need something to fill it in. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Michael Shanks is whinging again that he needs to show his range. So we'll
Yeah.
we'll give him his own English
It's
patience.
in his contract, yeah.
Yeah, he probably wanted to direct it too.
Thank God he doesn't want to sponsor the show.
Yeah. Apparently the house that he was in too, like the Rebel House and stuff, was the same house from Gamekeeper, like with those O'Neill flashbacks.
Mm.
I didn't recognise it. I just read that in some trivia.
Oh, okay.
But apparently it's the same house, just shot from a different angle.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool.
Come the end, actually, I was moving from the house where they obviously planned the attack, and for the whole time, Jared, right, the husband/brother,
that great alien name, Jared Kane.
Yeah.
At least spell it differently, guys. Jared, what starts with an X? Okay, I'll allow it. And he's just go, are you kidding? I'm one of 12 men. There is no way that I can take the capital back from bald religion guy. It'll be a suicide mission. It'll be an absolute slaughter. I will not do it. I will not sacrifice my men. They send word back through the gate, and they're going to meet them halfway. There's going to be 3 SG-1 teams. So another 12 people coming from that end, and then their 12 coming from their own end, and they meet in the middle. They take down a couple of bald religious guys' men, and then they go up to the command center, and his little female offsider, getting shot in the face, goes, "We are horribly outnumbered." I'm like, hang on a second. 20 minutes ago, there were 12 people, and it would have been a suicide mission. Now there's 24, and they are brutally outnumbered, and they're about to take back control of the city. I'm like, what happened to all
They double their numbers, Mitch. What do you want?
I mean, it's just that simple. It's math.
Times it by 2, and you've overworked. Yeah, what was with that chick?
Yeah, and they bring her back too. She's in like three other episodes as like different characters. She's like a member of the Trust, like towards the end of this season or next season or something like that. She does an episode of Atlantis where she's like.
It was very underwhelming for me. I mean, I did have it at 2 times the speed, so it was pretty quick. But it was just.
Well, I wish
they made it. How did they make it in? Did they make it into the bunker? Like, it was real quick. It was like they shot 3 people, and then SG-1 shot 3 people, and it was done.
I feel like all the interesting stuff happened off screen, and we just got to see the other stuff.
Well, there's an episode. You had the other guys, so you get to see what they're doing, what SG-1 are doing stuff. What if there was an episode called The Other Stuff, and you only saw the boring shit? Like, you only went to the gate room as the gate shut down, and you got to see like Sila come in and like do some mechanical checks. You had a cleaner coming in and sweeping up the debris that come back through, and they're escaping a Jafar attack and shit. What's happening in the cafeteria? Ordering different kinds of Jello. I mean, these are the stories we need to see.
We've run out of yellow. God damn it.
Yeah.
Speaking of bald guy, this, for whatever reason, was my favourite line, and I don't remember why I wrote it down. But let's play it anyway. From Teal'c.
It is obvious you revere the Great Ring as much as we do, General O'Neill.
Oh, yeah. We love the old gal. Quite possibly for different reasons than you.
We both seek to defend our people's way of life, do we not, General? To protect their very existence.
You do not represent the people of your world. You merely kill those who believe differently and would stand against you.
You speak what is on your mind. I admire that.
Actually, in your case, he's holding back. Carter?
I have no memory of that scene whatsoever. I had no idea that. I had no. Right now, I'm finding out that Bald Guy actually went to Earth.
He came to Earth. That's what I was wondering. Why didn't they just shoot him in the face?
I'm like, how did he get there? Why didn't they hold him hostage until they got Daniel back?
And then just dial back and be like, "Hey, we never got your dude. Like, send someone else."
And I'm happy to get it. I'm happy to get it. That's 2 for this. But now that we found out that his name was Soren, that is Malcolm McDowell's evil character from Star Trek Generations, the guy that kills Captain Kirk. Yeah, and he has this great line where he says, "Time is the fire in which we burn." Oh, love it.
I don't mind the line. And from McDowell too. Like that's the way that he would say it. No, that line, that's why that scene stays with me, Brennan, because of that line from Teal'c. And he didn't even look at him. And then even just Neil going, don't think he's being nice to you. He wants to rip your face off.
Because Teal'c doesn't say much.
No.
And when he's saying, "You just talking shit, bro," and just not even looking at him, I'm like, dude, that's so boss.
Well, that's because Daniel
he's got his guns out,
so
he's beautiful.
Teal'c was able to actually get a word in edgeways because Daniel wasn't there in the briefing.
Yeah, good call.
Wow, I'm really hating on Daniel this episode. It's not like me at all.
No, it's the effect of the episode. Unfortunately, he's the main character.
I don't like the way this episode makes me be. I don't like it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. He didn't have his glasses, so for me it was just Michael Shanks in a telly movie, midday movie,
in a leather jacket with lamb's wool.
Yeah,
because
Madeline. That's what I was saying last week. It's like the X-Men Origins, the Wolverine origin story. How did he get that jacket? I want to know. I actually want to know more than Logan. All right. It's time to find out who's been paying attention. And because of the lag, that didn't work.
Yeah, no, that's right. We won't worry. That's good.
We'll fix it in post.
And that's why we don't do an intro over Zoom.
Yeah. Oh shit! It's me. It's me. All right, it's me.
It's you, Matty. 30 seconds on the clock with
30 questions.
30 questions, 5 seconds on
5
the clock.
seconds to answer them.
Let's do it.
All right.
Your time starts.
Oh, yeah, give it to me.
After the first question. According to Teal'c, what does ring call knock mean?
Eat my ass.
Incorrect. What does Keltesh mean?
Shitting through a wire basket.
Very close, but no. What was the name of the planet in Icon?
Tegalis?
Correct. What did the people on the off-world planet call the Stargate?
The Circle of Areola.
Incorrect. Caledonia is the ancient Roman name for what country?
Jonas's penis.
Incorrect. No, man. 1 out of 5. You're making Rhys look like he had to go into Mensa.
I had to watch that episode 3 times because I fell asleep each time. I don't know what happened. I didn't know the bald guy even went to the SGC.
No, good call. I feel like I've seen that bald guy in something. Anyway, question 1. Teal'c, what does ring call knock mean? It means strategy. What does
eating my ass is a strategy. So I want half points for that.
Not anymore, because we've found out that it's like a
shitting through a basket.
Fangorn forest down there. I always thought it was silky smooth like the moon. What does Keltesh mean?
You can make it silky smooth.
It means it's a well-known battle tactic, flanking attack from both sides.
Oh,
we know that's what you like. What was the name and planet? Tegalis, you got that? Or Tegalas? I don't know how to say it either. What did the people on the off-world planet call the Stargate? The Great Ring of Avedon. Caledonia is the ancient Roman name for Scotland.
But where's New Caledonia? Where's New Caledonia? Isn't that like in the Bahamas or something?
No, that's like east of New Zealand in the Pacific.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like after Fiji. Or between New Zealand and Fiji. That's where that is. Yeah.
Correct.
Right. When you said Caledonia, I heard Jonas's planet. What's it called? Kelowna. That's what I heard. That's why I said Jonas's penis.
The Stargate was called Chapai.
You didn't get any of the questions.
No.
You heard it.
Yeah, I heard it. I'm freaking way behind.
Caledonia is the ancient Roman name for what country?
Scotland.
Well, yeah, I just said it.
Yeah, I know, but I need to rewatch it again.
Correct answer.
Just close. In hell. Wow, that was the at-home edition when someone's on stage and that big hook comes and drags them off the stage. That was you. Now, someone's sleeping on the couch tonight. Probably her.
Obviously. Great people, the Czechs. They just capitulate, don't they? We've always seen that throughout history. Huh? As soon as the Polacks surrendered, they're like, yeah, we're doing that too.
I'm recording this, so I'm totally going to see if I can record on my phone and turn that into a GIF of you just closing the door on Madonna.
All right, that's episode 160 of Get Into Gate with a fabulous icon. As you boys said, we will be back next week to talk Stargate Atlantis. What's the episode called?
Yes.
Suspicion. Which is one that I teased that back in Rising. I teased that to you, Mitchell, when you were questioning what was happening with the Wraith in the city and all. Yes. Yeah, we get some resolution in this episode.
Join us back next week. You can check out all of our old episodes on the podcasting channel of your liking. Just search Get Into Gate, a Stargate podcast, and subscribe for Christ's sake if you haven't already. Just hit that old subscribe button. You can follow us on the socials: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Fun one went up this week. Now, was that a Brendan or Maddie done thing this week? My wormhole is on our social.
I could tell straight away that was a
no offense, Maddie, but I figured that was the case, and and that was a bit of fun. So yeah, my wormhole is, and then you just tap the middle button on your predictive text 25 times and see what happens. And we had some
pretty awesome ones.
I was quite shocked and disturbed, but proud of mine. So if you want to see mine, it's in the comments on our Instagram post. It's probably the bluest we've gotten so far, which is no surprise, really.
Yeah, it's so good. I actually thought that you'd fudge the system, but I know that you wouldn't, and that's what makes it so great. So if you haven't done that yet, jump on the socials, have a bit of fun with that yourself. And if you want to drop us a long-form email, a little bit of a message, getintogate@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if you'd like to be one of our icons...
Oh, my God, brilliant.
Jump on our Patreon, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just like the following. Now, I've got a big list here because, quite frankly, and I apologise, I'm going to blame Rona Brain. I forgot last week, or 2 weeks ago when we did last episode, I forgot to give a little shout out to our patrons. So, massive shout out to David Morland,
the Malsey.
The Malsey. The next one, Julian Apostate, which is obviously his nickname is going to be the Prostate. Like that's
obviously
that's obvious.
Obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Rylan Schuster, stupid parents. Why would you put an L in Ryan? I don't understand that, but welcome.
Great people, his parents, if they want to sponsor the show.
Yeah, and you know, get a dictionary maybe. Johnny Matipi Pie?
The Matt Dog.
My Tippy. Johnny, yeah. Welcome.
Pop the tip in. Yeah.
Pop the tip in, Johnny.
Yeah.
Travis Glenn Fittich.
Oh, McGlenn. Have a look at McGlenn. I love the sight of McGlenn.
Welcome, Travis. Welcome to AJ Miller. Welcome to Philip Sims, SimCity. It's all up in the SimCity. Welcome to Josh, no last name, just like Madonna.
Jesus Christ.
Josh. And then also Mick. Just Mick.
Just straight up Mick. Love it.
Mick.
Nice to have you, Michael.
Mickey Pills.
And finally, welcome to Michael Ames. So thanks, guys, for all jumping on board to our Patreon. We very much appreciate it.
Nice.
Means we can do cool stuff like give away this.
Oh, shit. Now, you're broadcasting from your geek room there, Matty. That wouldn't look out of place on the wall right behind you.
If only I had the wall space.
If you did. Or rip down some of that Star Trek shit and put that up.
I've always said that.
Yeah, you.
I agree.
Don't think I won't cut you. So I'm going to draw the winner in my out of my Starfleet command mug. In my
well, that's 3, bitch.
That is actually 3.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to.
Hang on, I'll just switch off your feed there.
The line has to be drawn here. This far and no further.
There you go. He's
there
gone.
Go. Oh, I see him.
I don't know why, but it's like, it feels good. It's like serenity.
He's going to be writing a note here. It looks like
he's just going to have to show it to the camera now. I've muted him. I've got control of the Zoom meeting, and he is gone.
Oh, see?
Oh,
wow.
And the winner is one of the great patrons.
Oh, hello.
Actually been on the show. Ashley Knight.
Oh, congratulations.
The Knight.
Well, I mean, Matty is giving you one hell of an applause. Not that we're able to hear him because we shut that shit right down.
That was 3
he knew the
Star
rules.
Treks. He knew. He knows it. He's showing his hairy cleavage again.
I like the pout. It's like usually it's either the cleavage or the pout. He manages to make both work at the same time.
That's so good. Oh, congratulations, Ash Knight, for the great poster here. We've got a poster of just a puddle jumper and it's a blueprint, if anything. So
maybe we can send that to you to explain what it is.
You're gonna love it.
It's very cool. It is actually very cool. And Matty went to the trouble of printing it on some I don't know, some kind of special paper as well. So
Ashley and her future husband Silas, they're gonna love this. Pop that in the baby's bedroom for sure.
Yes, yeah. Raise that kid right. Look at Matty. He loves that gear. Good stuff.
It's a shame he can't be on the show anymore.
I know, but the kid knows the rules. And if anything, he went too hard too early. He dropped a Star Trek reference after about 4 minutes, and that's dangerous territory. That's like walking around the frozen lake. That's too. It's like, I'll just assess how strong it is. And mate, it's a mug. I can tell you. Look, apologies for anyone just listening to the podcast. He's now showing us his mug on the screen as if to say, all I did was show you a mug. I didn't bring up any facts or trivia about Star Trek, but.
That's the ugliest mug I've ever seen, and I wasn't
That's
talking
what we call
them
tough titties, mate. So, all right, I'm ready to turn
I
off
can
the screen
actually kick you out of the Zoom meeting. That's also another option.
We will be back next week to talk about Suspicion from Stargate Atlantis. Matty will be back. You just have to take his word for it. You can follow him at high-pitched Star Trek loving bullshit. Brendan, where we got you?
I am, where am I? At And the rest _ yeah, that's
the one. Beautiful. And I'm Mitch _Lewis on Twitter and Instagram. As we said, follow us on the show at Get Into Gate, all the social media platforms, and we'll catch you back next week for more Get Into Gate with Stargate Atlantis.
Get Into Geek.